All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into WWE NXT from June 17th, 2025. Now, this episode, maybe you watched it and thought, yeah, solid show, but we're going to dig a bit deeper. It really felt like a masterclass in laying the groundwork, high-stakes matches, but also tons of character and story building.
That's exactly right. It's all about the strategy underneath.
Yeah.
When you peel back the layers, you see how they're intensifying rivalries, making the rankings clearer, and really starting to define who the heroes and villains are going to be, all pointing towards that big evolution event. It's meticulous work.
Definitely. And speaking of meticulous, let's kick off with those Evolution Eliminator matches. 4 big ones to find the #1 contender for the women's title. First up, we had Jada Parker getting the win over Thea Hale. That was with the hypnotic pin, right?
You have the hypnotic,
Yeah.
clever finish. Then you had Lash Legend. Well, she just physically dominated Kalani Jordan. That torture rack style slam was brutal.
It really was. And then Izzy Dame beat Zaria, but she got a bit of help, didn't she? Tatum Paxley causing a distraction.
Exactly. A surprise assist leading right into that sit-out spine buster for Dame. Classic interference playing a role.
And finally, Jordynne Grace. Wow. She countered Lola Vice's high kick, which looked dangerous, straight into an Olympic-style slam.
Incredible strength and timing.
Yeah, and then finished it off with beast mode. So 4 winners, 4 different ways to win.
And what's key here, like you said, groundwork. These individual wins, they all funneled directly into one big match. Now we've got Parker versus Legend versus Dame versus Grace in a fatal 4-way to determine the actual #1 contender.
Right.
So whoever emerges from that match for Evolution, they've really earned it through this whole series. Adds a lot of weight to the eventual title shot.
Makes total sense. Okay, so moving on from the women's eliminators, we got that kind of unexpected 6-man tag team showdown. This felt like a pretty big upset. Yoshiki Inamura, Josh Briggs, and Elijah getting the win over Trick Williams, AJ Francis, and Wes Lee.
A very notable win, yeah.
And the really interesting part, Yoshiki Inamura pinning Trick Williams, the TNA World Champion, after a top rope splash. That's huge for Inamura, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Pinning a reigning world champion, even in a tag match, is a massive statement. It's a classic way to elevate someone quickly. NXT is signaling loud and clear that Inamura is someone to watch. It's a shortcut, maybe, but a really effective one for building a new potential star. Shows they're serious about him.
Right, establishing credibility fast. Okay, and then there was Blake Monroe's contract signing.
Yes, the chaotic contract signing.
Chaotic is one word for it. Fatal Influence ambushed her almost immediately, put her straight through a table. Talk about a rough welcome to NXT.
Rough is putting it lightly,
Yeah.
But, from a storytelling perspective, it's brilliant.
How so?
It instantly creates heat. You immediately have antagonists for Monroe. You have a built-in feud, a reason for the audience to care, to see what happens next. Revenge, overcoming adversity.
So it skips the slow build.
Exactly. It hooks you right away. High-impact, high-stakes introduction. It sets up a long-term story without wasting a single second. Very efficient booking.
Okay, so lots of strategic setup, setting feuds, building contenders. How did the audience react, numbers-wise? The ratings were interesting.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag, right?
Kind of. Overall viewership dipped a bit, down to 660,000. That's down about 9.1%. But
the key demo tells a different story.
exactly. The 18 to 49 demographic was actually up 6.7%, hitting 0.16. Apparently, that's the best it's done since, late April?
Right, and you saw reviews kind of landing in the B- to B range, praising the matches, the setup. But some felt maybe it lacked a bit of a media focus.
So what do you make of that split? Lower overall numbers, but the core demo is stronger.
Well, it suggests they're really connecting with that younger, more desirable advertising demographic. Even if the total number dipped, maybe the audience they most want to keep engaged, the ones invested in these longer stories, they're tuning in more. It could mean these foundational story-heavy episodes are working for long-term engagement, even if they don't pop a huge number immediately. They might be playing the long game.
Interesting perspective. So looking ahead based on this episode.
Definitely keep eyes on that women's fatal 4-way. That's going to be huge.
Far.
And obviously the Blake Monroe versus Fatal Influence feud is just getting started. That's going to be intense. And don't forget about Noam Dar's Heritage Cup run. Even though it wasn't directly featured this week, the momentum is still building there quietly. Lots of threads pulling towards Evolution.
So Wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for you, the listener? This NXT episode, maybe not the flashiest week-to-week show ever, but it was incredibly important. It did the hard work, laid those essential foundations for future payoffs. It clarified the standings, cranked up the heat on rivalries, and really helped define these characters moving forward. Strategic stuff.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a really interesting question, I think. Considering those ratings overall down, but the key 1849 demo up, what does that tell you about where wrestling audiences might be heading? How might these more foundational, maybe less immediately explosive, story-driven episodes be setting NXT up for real long-term growth and that deeper fan connection, even if some casual viewers tune out for a week?
Yeah.
Something to chew on until next time.